Ah, shoot. What happened? I come out here, the truck's mostly gone. Somebody stole the firewall, the floor, the whole drivetrain. They just left me a shell of a truck. What happened?
Thank you for watching the TDC Hot Rods YouTube channel.
Well, it's back in the shop. The old 71 F250. So, let's walk around this thing real quick and talk about it. Just a recap of what it is and what it's about, I guess. So, 71 F250, 3/4 ton, 2-wheel drive. The camper shell's off of it now. Obviously, it used to be white. Somebody put a white and black bed on it. She's a little rusty. The floorboards are pretty much gone. She got some beautiful carpet in here. We might have to keep that, but oh look, somebody put a piece of sheet metal there. But floor is pretty much gone. The roof is a little hammered, and I have the tailgate, but it is missing all of the dang it stuff to make it work. The body is actually fairly straight. The bottom of the bed is kinked there. But other than that, the bedside, the door, fender, all that is actually fairly straight. It's pretty good. The grill, not so much. Like, it's definitely got some damage, but nothing that we couldn't take apart and really easily hammer and dolly those out. But the rust is the worst part. The rust is the whole reason why, not the whole reason why, but part of the reason why I'm even wanting to do what I'm going to do with it. So the last video you guys had seen, I bought that 2003 Crown Vic. And I've been wanting to do another swap since I did my orange one. I have an awesome gentleman that is bringing one that I'm doing for him. I'm doing the swap for him. His is a gorgeous green and white. I believe it's 66, but I want to do another one for you guys. And the reason why I say for you guys is I'm going to take this truck and put it on that 03 Crown Vic, and at the end will be up to you guys, whether I paint it, whether I leave it looking like this, which I don't really love this. I would really prefer that if it was all white, I might be okay with it, but I don't love that the bed is black and white. So whether I leave it white and black and white, or whether I do a patina style paint job on it like I did that old 49 Chevy, or whether we grind it down and leave it bare metal and paint it, whether we do a nice paint job, I don't know. That's all way in the future and up to you guys. But at the end of this Crown Vic swapped 71 Ford is gonna go to one of you guys. I'm going to give it away. I'm super excited about it. I did a giveaway a long time ago, and it actually wasn't even on this channel, and it was a lot of fun to do it. But I am very serious about YouTube stuff now, and I'd like to be able to give you guys an option and a chance to be able to drive some of the stuff that I build. And so I'm excited about that. It's not gonna be something that I make a ton of money off of. I'm doing it for you guys and to get some awesome stuff ran through the shop. Anyways, so what needs to happen on this, and my plan with this truck and the Crown Vic, is my last video, the last build I did, I built the entire thing from start to finish, pretty much finished, from start to daily driving it, in 6 videos. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 6 videos. Well, I've had a lot of questions about how I did this or how I did that, or just different things that I definitely had skipped in the last videos of the orange truck. So this one I want to do a lot more detailed videos of me doing the swap. So the start of this will be me tearing apart this 71, and I'm gonna go in much more detail. I'm not gonna try to go in so much detail that's just unbelievably boring. I don't want that to happen, but I do want some good detail, so for any of you out there that are building one of these, that you can watch these videos and know exactly how to do everything. I'm going to take a lot more measurements and show you guys in more detail where I cut everything and give you guys the measurements of where you guys need to cut. Yeah, just trying to make a good build series so that any of you watching can do this exact same swap for yourself. And if you don't want to do a swap and you want to try to win this thing at the end of it, that would be super awesome too. That would be great. So the start is I'm going to pull the bed off of the chassis and get the front clip off of it. So this video is going to be about that. We're going to get the bed off and the front clip off, and start with the super rusty bolts and see how it goes. Hopefully it goes decent. I got a torch and I got a cutoff wheel, so we can get anything off. Yeah, so I'm gonna get started by pulling this bed and see how that goes. We already got all the bolts penetrated, but let me show you what I usually do to just help the process. So on these beds, there are carriage bolts going through the bed. If this was, say, an original truck that I didn't want to hurt the inside of the bed at all, I wouldn't do what I'm about to tell you to do. But because it's going on a Crown Vic chassis, everything from here to here is going to get cut out anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and grind down right here and just put a couple of tack welds on both of those. Nothing hard, something I just barely even nip with the cutoff wheel and cut the tacks off. So it'll hold the head of the bolt there. And then I'll get on the underside and pull them off with an impact or a wrench or whatever. So that's what I'm gonna do now, is we're gonna get the heads of those welded to the bed, and then get underneath it and see if we can get all these bed bolts undone. So we got all, you can see there, it's just two small little tack welds. So then once when we're done, we can just take a cutoff wheel and nip the sides of them, and then the bolt will come out. We did that on all of them, all the way down. And then on the underside, you can see there's the bottom of the bolts there. We just got them going all the way down the side, except for the very back ones. The very back ones, you actually have to put a wrench up here and a socket down there, or 2 wrenches, whichever. But make sure that you soak them in some kind of penetrating oil before you tear them apart. But that is all that holds these things on. So I am gonna get to taking these bolts off, and I'll show you guys that after they're out, but you get the idea. Just tack weld the top and take a wrench to the bottom. Well, surprising enough, we got all the bolts come out. They were all a little rusty, but they all come off. So now the wiring for the lights, it just runs down, and if you wanted to, you could pull the lens out and then untwist it from the back, but I'm not gonna do that. I just snip the wires at the bottom because I'm not gonna reuse any of that wiring. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this bed off. We got the bed off. So now the next step is we're gonna pull the hood, which is super simple. Just got 4 bolts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another suggestion on these old vehicles, PB Blaster or Coral Oil or WD. Coral Oil? I don't, starts with K. It's in an orange can. Either that or PB Blaster works super awesome just to get in here and lube up all these bolts. So I'm gonna go ahead and get those pulled off and get the hood off of here. So next on the agenda, there's a couple different ways to go about it. Either you can unbolt these 4 bolts here, but the issue there is getting to the back side, those usually break trying to pull them off, at least where I live. It gets a little rusty, so that it can be a problem. So I'm gonna undo these 3, which also can sometimes be a pain in the butt because this gets pinched on tight around here. But it's all right, I got some ways around that. So we're gonna pull these ones off on both sides. And then I soaked the bottom of these bolts, but there are bolt heads down amongst all that junk. So I gotta get all the crap cleaned out of there. And this door won't open. There are 2 bolts down there, or 1 bolt down there on the bottom of each fender, and then this door opens much easier, so I can show you in here. There is 1 bolt back in there, and it just holds the side of the fender on here. So you got a bolt here, a bolt at the bottom, 1 bolt on each side of the frame holding the core support on, and then these 3 bolts here. Sometimes there are bolts down in here. This one doesn't have it there. Oh, that one does. See that bolt right there. So I can, I'm gonna start with these ones right here, and we'll go from there. Well, we got the fenders loose. They're nice and loose on both sides. What's surprising, as rusty as that is, that lower bolt on both sides still come out just fine, which was shocking. And this one, the top one on the inside usually comes out pretty good. But like normal, I got these ones all cleared out, and that one doesn't look too bad. This one, I need my flashlight. Oh no, you can see it. See how there's pretty much not even a bolt left. So the torch is gonna be our friend on those ones. But we're gonna save those for last. What we're gonna do now is work on cleaning up taking out any of the wiring and laying it in to the engine. So to like your headlights and turn signal stuff, there's gonna be plugs that you can actually undo. There'll be those ones there. These ones will come down to like the tail lights, but there's plugs there also. So you can just unplug those ones. And then these ones just have bolts here, which are pretty simple, very basic. Just undo those and then just take the wiring and set it in. We're gonna undo these clamps, and so then the heater hoses are loose. And then we got a voltage regulator up here that have 2 bolts in it. The horn, we'll just unplug the horn actually. And the radiator. The radiator will just have an upper hose clamp there, lower hose clamp, and 4 bolts. 2 of them on each side. The radiator lifts right out. And then after that, the only thing we have left are those two front mounts, which I'll get to from the bottom side and torch them off. If you don't have a torch, you can pull the bumper bolts off and then get in there with the Sawzall and cut it off, or you could try to hold that with some vice grips, which might be a giant pain in the butt. You could also remove the radiator and come in here with the Sawzall and cut it. I'm just gonna reach in there with the torch and lob them off. Oh, and then we got those two small bolts down there. But I'm gonna get started on taking everything out of up in here. Ta-da! So, got the radiator out, got all the electrical off the side, and the regulator. Everything is sitting over here. Nothing should be touching nothing should be attached to the core support anywhere. I did go ahead and torch the top of the bolts off, so now it's, I can't show you by hand, but with pry bar you can reach in there and it's nice and loose. I did want to remind you guys to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And remember, it's free. All you gotta do is hit the little button. It's free. Why wouldn't you do it? Yeah, anyways, so the next thing we gotta do is pull this front clip off, and yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. Let's get to lifting the front clip off of this thing. Never mind on pulling the front clip yet. I forgot to show you guys the bumper. The front bumper's gonna come off. So these are just a carriage style bolt, so you don't have to put anything on this side. All that is there are some nuts on the back side. So all we gotta do is pull those off, and then after that we can lift the front end up and pull it off of there. Alrighty, there we go. It's all tore apart. Super exciting. So the front clip's all off, bed's off. Now time to tackle the cab. So I'm going to use the Crown Vic firewall and floor. So we don't need, and I'll show you part of the reason why. Plus, the other part is I really like the outcome when we do that. But look at that. Yes, it's definitely fixable, but I really like my orange truck. I just love having all the factory Crown Vic stuff. So the next step is we gotta pull the seat out, pull this trim, pull the gas tank, pull this vent box, the defrost heat controls. There might be one or two things over there. Got to unbolt the steering column from the dash, but the column can actually stay there. There might be a few other things, but I'll update you as that goes. So to pull the seat out is real simple. You got two bolts here, and then you slide the seat forward, and you can get right to there's one bolt. Oh, you can actually maybe see it right there. Or yeah, there's one bolt on the back, two on the front. After we pull that, we're gonna pull these plates. And those are just these screws along here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you how to pull the gas tank and the other stuff out. gone. The seat and the scuff plate is gone. So now we're gonna work on the fuel tank, and it's pretty simple. We just got all these bolts across the top and a few across the bottom here. And then we got sending unit, which is super easy. We just unplug it. And this is the pickup tube. This is what feeds the fuel to the front of the car. And then you could try to unbolt these. I'm not even gonna try to get that hose off because that thing is so old and crusty. We're just gonna cut right through it. And then the fuel tank, we'll just pull right on out and slide out the side. And after that, we will unbolt the steering column, which is just those two bolts there. And because we're leaving the floor and the firewall, we don't need to like unbolt the floor from the cab of the frame of the truck. So the steering column can stay there. So we're gonna unbolt that. And then we're gonna pull this box off here, which is just these few bolts right here and this rubber boot. Most likely this boot actually feels decent. It might pop off, but most likely I'll have to cut it. And we only need to move this just to be able to get some space in there to cut with the Sawzall. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do those, and then I'll show you after that. Fuel tank's out and the bent piece is out. I was trying to show you guys that on the camera, but it didn't work out. But let me explain. So this rubber piece, you pull this rubber piece off of here. Let me show you. So this sits up in there exactly like that. You pull the rubber piece off of here. There's one bolt back here, and then these ones you pull down there, and then this, it's pretty tight, but you can wiggle it out, and then this little lip might catch a little bit. But I just put a little bar in there and pulled it out to here, and then just slipped it on out, just like so. So next on the agenda is we need to pull the gauges out, so then we can undo any of the wiring off the back. And if you guys are trying to save the harness, you can unplug everything off the back of the switches. If you're not worried about the harness, like I'm not, I am using 100% as much wiring, actually 100% of the wiring on my orange truck is the Crown Vic harness. So 99.9%, there's a tiny bit that's different, but I'm doing the same thing for this. So all the wiring that's in here, I'm just taking the cutters to it. So I need to pull the gauges out, undo the wiring there, and the wiring off of any of these, whether it's a choke or emergency lights or whatever. Also, if you look back in there, this is a brace that goes from the dash to the firewall. We got to unbolt that. So we're going to pull that off, and then it's up to you guys once again if you want to pull this defrost piece out. If so, there are two, I don't know if you guys can see that right there, and then on this side too, a little small nut that you pull both the nuts off on each side, and then it'll slide out, and you can undo all the cables from there. Or after you cut everything and you're lifting the cab up, you can get in there and snip those cables, kind of up to you. If you're not going to reuse the cables, so be it. Just your preference. But I don't know exactly which way I'm going to go with this, but for now I'm going to pull the instrument cluster out and get all the wires behind it cut, because I'm not ready to pull any of these knobs out. I don't want to pull them if I don't have to. So I'm going to get to that. All right, so I did realize something after I started. I forgot to tell you guys how this comes out. So it's very, very simple. Just got screws across the bottom and then a few screws across top, and it literally just slides right out. You got one plug that goes right there on the back, and then here is your throttle cable, and speedometer cable. It just unscrews and pulls out. Very simple. So next, I decided I'm not gonna pull that until I have to, which will be later. So next on the agenda, and I believe the last thing I need to do before I can start cutting, is pull the e-brake. So you got one bolt here, and then if we come around to the front side of the firewall, you got two bolts there. Oh, right there and there. Very simple. And then after that, we can start cutting. All right, got the e-brake cable and e-brake out of there. So now we can start cutting. So there's a few things I want to say about this part, mostly because everybody has their own way of doing it. This is just how I'm doing it. If you guys choose to do it a different way, then awesome. That's fantastic. More power to you. Anytime that you can do something your own way, that's awesome. But just to show you guys how I do it and how I cut it and how I put it together, and hopefully it works good for you guys and it helps somebody out. That's really why I'm showing it in such detail. Also, I wanted to say, I have like a plasma cutter and a torch and a few, I don't have anything special. I don't have CNC tools or nothing fancy like that. So I'm just gonna use Harbor Freight Sawzall, and then a 4.5-inch grinder and my plasma cutter. But you could definitely get away without using the plasma cutter. You definitely don't have to have a plasma. I think you could literally build the whole truck cutting everything down with basic tools, especially anything you can get at Harbor Freight. A welder, a welder, a Sawzall, cut-off wheel, like a 4.5-inch grinder. I think you'd be good. But yeah, so let me show you guys where I'm gonna cut this thing. So we're gonna start here, right at this pinch weld right here. I'm just gonna take the Sawzall and come right in here, or the plasma cutter. I may take the plasma cutter to it, but I'm gonna try the Sawzall first. And then cut right through here. So now this is the main cab mount for the back of the truck. If you guys choose to leave that, that's fine. How I attach them to the Crown Vics, I do not need that because of how I brace in the back, and that thing is actually in the way when we get it on the Crown. So we cut through here. Mine is all rusted out down there, so you can clearly see the floor. But if you're not, you'll have to cut the bottom there. And then I'm gonna cut the back side all along here, and then the same on that side. And then we come to the outside here, and we're just gonna follow this pinch weld all the way up to the firewall. Then this is another pinch weld, and we'll follow that all the way around the top and back down the other side. Should be very simple and basic. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get to start cutting. So we got the floor cut all across there, up there. And then before I'd said we were cutting it here, which we started to. And then we were talking about how I did it on my orange truck and I waited to cut this piece out. And the reason why, as soon as we cut that, I started thinking this might move back and forth because there'd be no cross support. So we undid the bolts there. There's two of them, that one and that one, and then cut it across here, and then you can decide if you're going to cut that out or not. I'm going to cut it out after I get it mounted to the Crown Vic floor, but we decided it'd be best to leave that. And then got it cut up here and all across there, and then down the other side. So now we got it hooked to the come along here and here. So it should lift off. I know for sure when we go to lift it off, we are gonna have a couple of cables, which I'm just gonna snip them with dikes, and maybe a couple of wires. But we're gonna start lifting this cab off and see what it does. Ta-da! There we go. The truck's all finished. It's scraping, sitting right on the ground. Oh, shoot. I just knocked my bolts over. It's sitting on the ground, ready to go. Look at that, we can drive it down the road. Ha ha. Anyways, we got it all cut up. Oh, I guess let me show you what we did. So, just as you've seen before, we got it all cut around. I am going to take this back out, but that I'm actually really glad I left that. I will cut that out at a later date. It is definitely rusty. So unlike on my last one, I fixed that rust when it was actually on the Crown Vic chassis. I will not do that on this one. I'm gonna fix that and fill in these holes. Both of those holes there are gonna get filled in before I ever put it on the Crown Vic chassis. That will make it much, much easier. But I did end up cutting the wires, but here and the the heater controls, that was definitely the easiest way to do it, because I'm using all the Crown Vic wiring. Every bit of the Crown Vic wiring is going in this. So that was super awesome. That was fun. I really am excited about this one. I think the part that I'm most excited about is at the end, somebody is gonna win this thing. Anyways, somebody is getting it that's not me. So I'm super excited for this build. It's gonna take a little while because I have other work stuff to do in the meantime, but I will keep you guys updated as often as possible. And thank you guys so very much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited. And you guys have a fantastic day. We will see you on the next one.